Welcome back, everyone. We would also like to welcome back Dr. Shai Gozani, Chairman and CEO of NeuroMetrix, Inc. For business update. NeuroMetrix trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol NURO and is a neuromodulation company developing novel treatments for chronic pain syndromes. Welcome back, Doctor. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you very much, Anna. We appreciate the opportunity to update today. So just very briefly, this is our forward-looking statement disclaimer. Please take a look at our recently filed Qs as well as our 10K for assessment of and list of risk factors. So just as a reminder, NeuroMetrix is a Boston-based medical device company. Our mission is to improve the lives of patients with chronic pain through neuromodulation devices. And just diving into that a little bit, we focus on intractable chronic pain, which are those forms of chronic pain that really are resistant to typical treatments. We believe that we are well positioned based on our recent clinical and regulatory achievements to develop a strong growing business. Just very briefly, in terms of our investor thesis, we have a neuromodulation platform called Quell, which I'll talk more about, which has 2 FDA breakthrough device designations, one for fibromyalgia, the other one for chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, or CIPN. We've launched the fibromyalgia indication into the U.S. market and have an update there. We have a rich pipeline. I'll also have some updates there that will expand beyond fibromyalgia. We also have a neurodiagnostic and legacy business that generates positive cash flow that supports our investments in the neuromodulation business. And we have a simple capital structure, no debt, common stock only, and sufficient cash to fund our near-term growth investments. In terms of updates, really 2 key ones we wanted to talk about today. The first relates to our launch of the fibromyalgia indication. And just a couple of days ago, we announced that we are partnering with the National Fibromyalgia Association, or NFA, which is the largest fibromyalgia-focused patient advocacy group, to get the word out about solutions for fibromyalgia, and specifically around Quell fibromyalgia, our fibromyalgia indication for Quell. So we're very excited to partner with them over the coming year to get the word out. This will also supports our initiatives to educate the fibromyalgia community and gives us access to their tens of thousands of patients and many providers that are part of this association. The second update relates to our pipeline. I just wanted to briefly mention again that Quell is a non-invasive medical device that stimulates superficial and deep nerves at the calf, as shown in that image. And what this does is it's thought to trigger a response in the central nervous system that reduces pain hypersensitivity, which is a characteristic feature of most forms of intractable pain, such as fibromyalgia, as well as a characteristic of many other types of chronic pain. In terms of updates, as I mentioned, we have a rich pipeline that we believe will expand beyond fibromyalgia to about 25 million patients in the U.S. The 2 programs that are furthest along in our pipeline are for CIPN, or chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, and for chronic low back pain with pain hypersensitivity, so a subset of chronic low back pain. Just in terms of specific updates on CIPN, we've basically completed preparation for a 510K FDA submission, and we're simply waiting on publication of the data, which is an NIH requirement. This was a NIH-funded study, so as soon as the data is published in the public domain, we will be filing that 510K. We hope that will occur in the next 3 months or so. On low back pain, a number of years ago, we completed a randomized controlled trial. We've reanalyzed that data and have seen very strong results in a subset of patients with pain hypersensitivity, which is the most intractable form of chronic low back pain. And we'll be preparing a 510K submission, which we expect to provide to the FDA early in 2024. So really significant advances in our pipeline. And that is our brief update. And then I'll turn it back over to Anna to see if there are any questions.
All right. Thank you, Doctor. Yes. So why did you choose NFA as the first fibromyalgia advocacy group to work with?
Yeah, so NFA is probably the oldest and largest fibromyalgia association, very well established, very well regarded, and so it really made sense to start with them. By no means are they the only ones we would work with, but they were clearly the premier patient advocacy group for fibromyalgia.
And are you planning to work with additional fibromyalgia advocacy groups in the future?
Yeah, very much so. So after beyond NFA, it's fairly fragmented. There are many different fibromyalgia advocacy groups and organizations, tens or hundreds, for example, on Facebook. So we will engage with many or all of them, and really we'll utilize that as one of our key mechanisms to getting the word out about Quell as a solution or potential solution for these patients.
And can you talk about some of the risks there are to a successful CIP and regulatory outcome?
Yeah. So as I said, we basically completed our submission and are waiting on an event, which is publication of the data, and then we'll proceed. I think the biggest risk, I mean, we think the data is pretty compelling. The biggest risk is there are no previously approved or cleared devices by the FDA for chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy. So we really don't have sort of a roadmap against which to go. So we're kind of blazing a trail here. So we think we know what the FDA is looking for, and I think we can provide that. But as a trailblazer in this indication, that presents some risk.
And will you commercialize the CIPN indication through the current Quell sales team?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our commercial model is to establish a physician office-based Quell sales team. We talked about that about a month ago at our initial presentation. And the idea is really to push all these indications through the same commercial organization. So the answer is yes. Now, each indication may have some unique features. So for example, in the case of fibromyalgia, many of those patients are seen by rheumatologists. So we're currently calling a rheumatologist. Chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, many of them will be seen by oncologists. So we would expand our call point into oncology. But there's also a lot of overlap. Pain physicians, neurologists, internists, they see all these patients. So the answer is yes, but it will involve some expansion of the call points.
And talk about some additional clinical trials in the near term.
Right. So we right now we have a fairly large trial going on in a condition called COPC, which you can see there. And basically, COPC is called chronic overlapping pain conditions, and this is a situation where patients have typically 2 to 3 different chronic pain conditions, such as fibromyalgia and low back pain, temporomandibular joint disorder, and others. And it's what is unique about these patients is they all have this pain hypersensitivity phenotype that I mentioned. So even though they have these different indications, the different clinical descriptions, they actually have a common pathophysiological basis. So we think Quell could be effective in treating that pain hypersensitivity. So that's basically being assessed in that study. And then we're planning additional fibromyalgia as well as CIPN studies.
And you haven't spoken too much about your efforts in painful diabetic neuropathy. So do you have near-term plans to move that indication forward?
Yeah, painful diabetic neuropathy is sort of is always a holy grail for a lot of companies and definitely for us. And for us, it's a really important indication because it brings together our diagnostic business and our therapeutic business. The primary utilization or reason for using our neurodiagnostic device, DPN check, is for the assessment of diabetic neuropathy. So we'd very much like to tie those together and provide a therapeutic that can be married with the diagnostic. There are similar opportunities potentially in CIPN. So we're presently in the early planning stages. We don't have a specific timeline yet for PDN or painful diabetic neuropathy, but it's very much on our radar. And our expectation is not in 2023, but in 2024, we'll have more to say about the timeline for development of a PDN indication.
And a viewer, Alan Gelband, asks, what's your pricing strategy when you can sell CIPN?
Well, right now, our expectation is it would probably be structured similar to fibromyalgia, which is an upfront cost for the initial month of the prescription and then a recurring cost for the refills that take the patient on an ongoing basis.
Wonderful. Well, we are out of time. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
No, thank you very much for the opportunity and look forward to being back here again with further updates.
Thank you so much for joining us. We also look forward to seeing you again with some updates. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. This completes day one. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning, 9:40 Eastern time for day two of our super virtual investor conference. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.